All right, it's Saturday afternoon, back at it. I got some new lesson videos happening, some new material to introduce. And I'm following up on a previous video that I made on using the G minor pentatonic scale to play in the style of Albert King. But it's not just the style of Albert King, it's the style of Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, especially Stevie Ray Vaughan. Albert King had a big influence on a lot of different people, and he was influenced by a lot of great players that also influenced a lot of those people that I was naming. And so what we want to do today is I've covered this in a previous video, and I'll put the link down below. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to review the short G minor pentatonic patterns, and then I'm going to demonstrate how you can actually practice these to really improve your playing. And one of the things that I always like to talk about is that I'm not going to play a bunch of licks. That I don't think that you can learn how to play in the style of any of those players that I mentioned by playing licks. And I always have a lot of analogies that I tell people in lessons. But one of the analogies that I use would be, let's say that I was driving and my car broke down, and I called my friend, and my friend came over and he looked at my car and he said, "Oh, the alternator has failed." And so we went to the auto parts store and we got an alternator. We went back and I was watching him carefully whenever he installed the new alternator. And then I was like, I think, that doesn't look too complicated. I think I can probably do that. So then, say a month later, my car breaks down again, and I don't want to bother my friend, so I go to the auto parts store, I buy an alternator, I put the alternator in, it doesn't work, the car won't run. So I call my friend and I tell him I have, the car broke down, I went and bought another alternator and put it in, and he says, "Why would you do that? Your alternator is only a month old. I really doubt that it's failed." And then I said, "Well, I don't know, that I watched you repair the car and that's how you did it." And then he was like, "Well, that's not really what car repair is all about." Well, in my experience, that's how I feel about playing licks, copying other people's licks on the guitar, that they have solved the problem, they've figured out how to do it, and they've worked on the building blocks, they've put those together. And so the solution, in order to be able to really be a good player and be able to remember licks and play great licks, is that you really have to have some of those building blocks. If you can play the scales, if you know where the root note of the chord is, and you can work away from that, then a lot of times if you can actually discover the lick just by playing. You'll just be playing and be like, "Oh, hey, this is Stevie Ray Vaughan plays this," or "I hear Jimmy Page play it." Not by copying the lick, but just in your own practice. Also, though, there's so many great resources. There's lots of good videos, tab books available. There are a lot of resources. If you have some of these fundamental skills, you can do some analysis. It's like diagnostics, trying to figure out what's wrong with the car. You can reverse engineer the licks, and you can learn how to make that stuff a part of your playing. So I'm super excited. As of today, I have 240 subscribers. And so I don't know if you've watched any of my other videos, but my goal is to have 300 subscribers. So 300 or more. So if you are watching the video and you like this video, please subscribe and help me reach my goal. That if you're new to my channel, you might know that I'm just making these videos on my phone. It's like the only technology that I have is that I'm using is my phone. And my goal is that if I can get enough subscribers, I might be able to get a better camera. No, I think you have to have a lot of subscribers, but I would love to have a little bit better setup so that I could make higher quality videos, maybe have a second camera that showed my fingers, some stuff like that. I do a group session. I teach in the Cincinnati area and in Northern Kentucky. And we have a group, and I call it the Music Lab, Larson Music Lab. And several of my adult students get together on Tuesdays, and we practice playing together, learning how to play songs, improvising, playing solos. It's pretty fun. And I actually recorded a few videos of that, of course, using my phone. And I just need to edit those and get those up. One other quick thing I wanted to mention is I have had a couple of people reach out to me about lessons. I teach a lot of guitar lessons. I love teaching lessons. I'm really excited about what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. And so I do teach private lessons. I do via Zoom virtual lessons if you don't live in the Cincinnati area. And one thing worth mentioning is that YouTube has really strict copyright rules. In private lessons where it's just online, if you wanted help figuring out a certain song or a certain solo, that we can listen to the song together. I can help you figure it out. I haven't been able to figure out how to do that on YouTube. I actually made a video where I made it. I programmed the drums and then played bass, and it was just a very simple blues, 12-bar blues, and I got a notification from YouTube that it was a copyright infringement. It's really hard for me to wrap my brain around how my drum programmed and bass line that I just was kind of making up on the spot was a copyright infringement, but that's they said somebody else. It was very basic, so I mean there's probably tens of thousands of blues songs that just use that same pattern. So, all right, that's all the kind of introductory stuff. So let's get into playing some guitar today. So the plan for today is I'm going to introduce how to play the G minor pentatonic scale. A lot of people might know it, but I'm going to show you how to start the scale from your third finger. This particular version of the scale for me was inspired primarily by Albert King, but Stevie Ray Vaughan and Johnny Winter, they use this version. Freddie King, those players, a lot of those players use this. So I call this a form 3 because the way that I name my scales and my arpeggios is that whatever finger I start on, I call that the form. So if I was going to play a scale and start on my first finger, my index finger, I would call that one a form 1. If I was going to start on my third finger, I call that a form 3. So this is going to be a G minor pentatonic. It's going to be a form 3. And I'm going to use the play along at the end of the video that's on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to show you how to practice with the play along. That's actually the goal for today, is to demonstrate how to practice. I was using that play along at the beginning. The intro for this video is me playing with the play along. So this first thing that we need to do in order to find, before we do anything else, to play the G minor scale, the G minor pentatonic scale, I should mention this. If you don't know this, pentatonic scale, pent means 5 in Latin. And so a pentatonic scale has 5 notes in it. I'm going to swing back around to that, but I just was saying that. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to find G. So I'm going to use my chromatic circle. It should magically pop up over here on the screen. And the chromatic circle has the letters that we use to name the pitches. That's the sounds of the notes. There are 7 letters. A through G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then there's 6 spaces that have sharps and flats. And so a sharp symbol, it looks like a number sign, and when you add a sharp symbol to a letter, you make that go 1 fret higher. So if I played G, this is G. String 6, fret 3 is G. If I made it G sharp, I would go up 1 fret. That's the 4th fret. So I'm going to look at my chromatic circle, and because I'm looking for G, what I'm going to do is that I know that this is the E string. I'm going to find the E, and I'm going to count the blocks. 1, 2, 3. How many blocks I have to move, and then before I land on G. So I start on E, and I'm going to stop counting when I get to G. So I count 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. G is the 3rd fret. To find G on the adjacent strings, I'm going to use my magic numbers. And in my using my magic numbers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5 or add 7. So here I'm on fret 3. I can't subtract 5 because that would be fret -2. That would be down here. I can't do it. So I'm going to do fret 3 and I'm going to add 7, which is 10. So now if I go to the next string, which I call the adjacent string, I'm on string 6, fret 3. I'm going to go to string 5, fret 10. That's G. I forgot to turn on my tuner. But if I have my tuner on in the video, okay, in the video, you should be able to see that that's G. I don't know how clear it is. I'm going to see if I can make it a little better. G. So here I'm playing fret 10. So I go fret 10, and remember my magic numbers are -5 or +7. So I'm going to go 10, -5. So 10, -5. I'm going to go to the next string, that's 5. That's G. A little bit, yep. Then I'm going to go 5 plus 7, that's going to get me to 12. If I went 5 minus 5, that would be the open string. So the open string or 12 are G. They're both G. Then on string 2, the tuning of the guitar is non-symmetrical. And so to compensate for the tuning being non-symmetrical, we always add 1 on string 2. I've covered this in my other videos, so if this is confusing, you should go back and watch some of my other videos. So I'm going to go 12, and I'm going to go -5. 12 minus 5 would be 7, but I always add 1. I say bump it up 1. Bump it up 1 on string 2, that's going to be fret 8. And then I'm at fret 8, and I'm going to go 8 minus 5, that's going to be 3. So this is how I found all my G notes. G, that's fret 3, 10, 5, 12, or 0, fret 8, and then fret 3. So now that I've found my G notes, that I'm going to play the G minor pentatonic scale form 3. So I'm going to start on my 3rd finger. And whenever we play the G minor pentatonic scale on form 3, one of the things I want to point out is that we typically don't play all of the notes. So we don't play 5 notes. The reason why is because we'd have to move position to play the 5th note, which sometimes we will do, but not whenever we're trying to learn the scale. It makes it too hard when you're trying to learn the scale. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start on G. And I have this formula memorized. So the formula that I'm going to use for this is I'm going to play G, which is my root. I'm going to go 2 frets lower on the same string. That's going to be the minor 7th. So I go 2, down 2 frets, back up to G. I'm going to go to the next string, the adjacent string, and I'm going to play a minor 3rd. That's 3 frets higher. So I could find that note right here. So this is B flat. This is fret 8, right? It's not fret 8, it's fret 6. Sorry, this is fret 6. If I subtract 5, I can get that at 1. And then I'm going to play this note. This is C. And so I'm not a fan of memorizing patterns, but this pattern it's pretty accessible. And I made another video where the only thing I talked about was, I'll put the link below, where I just introduced how to find the notes to make the G minor scale. So that's not my goal for today. So look at what I have going on. I take my 3rd finger, I put that on the root of G. I'm going to go G on the same string. I'm going to go 2 frets lower, F. I'm going to come back to G. I'm going to go to the adjacent string, which is string 5, and I'm going to go 1st finger, and then I'm going to go 3rd finger, that's C, and then I'm going to come back. And so whenever I teach this to people, one of the things that I want to show people is how to make these sound musical. So I'm going to play this scale pattern, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to play 4 beats, four notes, a full measure. So I'm going to start on 1. So it's going to be like 1. And this is my pattern. So I'm going to take this same pattern and I'm going to move it up here. I'm going to move to string 5, fret 10. And I'm doing the same thing. I start on my 3rd finger. Sorry, I got a little distracted and I forgot to say this, that I always joke about this, I don't have a monopoly on good rhythm. So that you can play any rhythm that you like. The only thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to start on G. I'm going to play 4 beats and then I'm going to end on 1 on the next G. So I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice G is my most important note, so I'm trying to start and end on that G note. If you watch some of my other videos, I have some funny analogies. I always say, if you were having a barbecue and you were playing, and the scale sort of represents the barbecue. I'll get into this analogy later, but the G note would be the burgers. Like that's the most important thing to bring. So down here, now I'm going to go to string 4, fret 5. I'm doing the same pattern. 3, 1, 3, 1. And in just a second, I'm going to start the accompaniment backing track, and I'm going to play along with this video. You'll hear it. I'm going to start right here. Same, each time I'm starting on G and I'm playing the same pattern. So now I'm going to do it with the music. So if you notice, I just played that scale and I played it over all of the chords. I played it over the chords of the song are G minor, C minor, B flat, and D. It doesn't work perfectly over all of the notes, over all the chords, but it sounds pretty good. It has a pretty good bluesy sound. And one of the things that we're going to find is a lot of people that play in this style, they'll often let their ear guide them just a little bit. And whenever I say you let your ear guide you a little bit, that one of the things that we'll see is that a lot of times we're going to bend certain notes to make them fit in with the scale a little bit better. So now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to play this scale, and we're going to play the root notes along with the the root notes are the note that the chord gets its name from. So I'm going to play the root notes. And so the root note of a G minor chord is a G note. The root note of a C minor chord is a C note. The root note of a B flat chord is B flat, and the root note of a D chord is D. So now if we look at our scale, and I'm going to go with my form 3, so I'm going to put my 3rd finger, and I'm going to put my 3rd finger on G, which is string 2, fret 8. So this note, that's G. That's a super important note in this song. So anytime that there's a G chord going on, this note is going to be the root of the G. So whenever we play the song, the second chord in the song is C minor. So whenever that chord C minor happens and I'm soloing, I want to go to string 1, fret 8. This is C. Remember, here's my scale pattern. 8, 6. So the notes in the scale, they're 8, 6, 8, and then 6 and 8. So it's G, F, G, B flat, and C. So now I'm going to get back. I should have said that to begin with. So now I'm at the beginning of the song. The chord is G minor. I'm going to play G. String 2, fret 8. The chord changes. The next chord is C minor. I'm going to come down, string 1, fret 8, and I'm going to play C. The next chord, which is measure 7, is G minor. So I'm going to go back to string 2, fret 8. And you notice this? I use my third finger to play those. I keep my hand so my index finger is over the 6th fret whenever I first start to play. The next chord in the song is B flat. I'm going to take my index finger and I'm going to go to string 1, fret 6. That's B flat. And now the chord changes to D. So in this pattern we're playing, there's no D that's easily accessible. The closest D is probably on string 1, fret 10. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the C note, the C which is string 1, fret 8. I'm going to bend this. So I'm going to bend that C. Here's what it. So and I want to keep my hand in position. So sometimes I'll go. So I'm going to let it back down because the next chord's C. Then it's D again because we're playing over the chords for the solo section. Now let it back down to C. And then it's G. This is the only play along I'm going to use in this video, but I do want to mention that in the song, I'll Play the Blues for You, when Albert King is singing, the form of the song is 14 measures. And then whenever he does, there's a part where he talks, and then there's a part where he plays some amazing ripping solos. And on the part where he talks, and there's the solos, it's 16 measures long, and the chord form, the pattern's a little different, and it's the one that we're playing over right now. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play along, and I'm just going to play the roots. C, string 1, fret 8. Back to G, string 2, fret 8. First finger, string 1, fret 6, B flat, bend to D. Let it back down to C, bend to D. Let it back down to C. Then go to G. So I just demonstrated playing the root note of each chord and going through the form of the song. The form is the pattern of the chords. In this case, it's 16 measures long. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the root note of the chord, and I'm going to play the next note in the next higher note in the scale. So it'll be different for different notes. So I'm going to play G, and the next note above G is this note, it's B flat. So I'll go G, G, B flat, G. On C, that I want to stay in position. I'm not going to move my hand. Later we will, but for right now, we're just trying to build these skills. So I'm just going to bend that. I'm going to bend up to C. I'm going to go back to G. On B flat, I'm going to go B flat up to C. On D, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to bend the note up to D. So I'm just going to play the root note and then the next note in the scale above the root note. Here we go. G, B flat. I'm gonna bend. Back to G, G, B flat, G. Now B flat, I'm gonna go bend to D, C, C, so now I'm going to go from the note below. So this is going to be G, and the note that's below G in the scale is F. So I'm going to go F, going F to G. And I'm thinking a lot about this pattern. So you'll notice I'm only using fingers 1 and 3. I'm only playing frets 6 and 8. I am doing some bends. But on this, the note's G, so I'm going to go G, F, G. Then on C, I'm going to go C, B flat, G. And then when it goes to B flat, I'm going to go, again on the D, I'm going to bend up to the D, and I'm just going to hold it. So here we go. See, here's C. G. B flat. Bend to D, C, B flat, bend to D, C and B flat, down to B flat, back to. Okay, so now I have each root note and I can play in the scale. I've practiced now playing a note above and a note below. And I can't do this on every note. I want to be clear about that. That the patterns, they don't lay in a way that I can do it on every note and keep my hand in position. And so this is what's going on. I'm keeping my hand in position. I have plenty of notes that sound good to play a good solo, just keeping my hand in position. That I don't need to follow any kind of rule about having to always go up to the next note or always down below. What I'm doing is I'm kind of going with the path of least resistance. If it's easy to play a note, to embellish the root note of the chord by adding a note above, then I'll do it. If it's easy to play the note below and embellish, I'll do it. But if it's difficult to do because say D is up here, that can make it challenging. That here on B flat, I can actually get notes on both sides. It's pretty good. On the C, it's a little tricky that on the C, I can easily get the note below, but to get the note above, I have to bend up to do it, and it doesn't always fit perfectly. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna roll the backing track. I'm gonna turn on the backing track. I'm gonna play along with it, but now I'm gonna start to just improvise a little bit in the sense that I'm not going to follow a strict rule of only going from below or above. I'm just going to do a combination of those, but I am going to make sure that I always end up on the root note of the chord that's being played. So if it's a G minor chord, I will end up on G and emphasize that. So here we go. I'm going to start to So there I was focusing on the root note of each chord. I was just using a note above and below in the scale. So I was staying in the scale and I was just moving back and forth through the scale. So if the chord I was playing was G, here's G. In the scale, the next note higher than G is B flat. In the scale, the next note lower than G is F. So on the G's, I was playing primarily B flats and Fs. So now I'm going to use this idea, but I'm going to improvise a little bit just to take us out. So when I say take us out, it's the end of the video. So I do want to tell everybody that it might seem like a simple thing, but I've been so excited of all the feedback I'm getting on my videos, and then people subscribing. It really makes my day to see that my subscribers are going up, and it makes it a lot more fun to make the videos, and I really appreciate everybody's comments. So subscribe. I have a bunch of other ideas I'm going to do coming up. Lots of stuff. I'm going to demonstrate more in depth on some of these Albert King ideas, that I'm going to demonstrate some of the techniques that Stevie Ray Vaughan uses. I'll probably do some stuff on some sweep picking. I also, David Gilmour, I really like. I like so many great guitar players, but have some really good lesson plans. And I also try to make these lessons parallel to what my music lab group is working on. So I think we're going to work on the chord progression from Time by Pink Floyd, and that's got some great, really great concepts to work on. We could work on arpeggios and pentatonic scales, a bunch of different stuff. So I'm gonna roll the video and I'm gonna play. Thanks so much for coming out on Saturday afternoon. That's usually when I'm doing these videos, even though it takes me a few days to edit them. And then hopefully I'll hear some positive things from everybody, and I hope everybody's doing well. Here we go. All right, thanks for coming out.